WWE Hell in a Cell 2012 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view out there a little while ago as far as my thoughts on the show from WWE. This was a very lackluster show from WWE. Definitely one of WWE's worst pay-per-views of the year. An example of what a throwaway pay-per-view is this show. Not much of anything of significance took place on this show other than probably one thing, and that was just because it was a title change. Not because it was a good match, but because it was a title change, and that was Big Show becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion and ending Sheamus' title reign. That was really the only thing of significance that took place on here. Ryback and CM Punk, the main event, I actually did enjoy the match. I was getting into it. I actually thought it was better than what I was expecting it to be. Then the ending came. I actually didn't mind the ending with the crooked ref, the crooked ball-off ref. I actually didn't mind that. It's kind of old-school booking we don't see too often. I actually did not mind that ending at all. And the stuff that was probably the best of the stuff that was probably the best thing of the whole night was probably the post-match stuff after, CM Punk retained the title that way. That was probably some of the best stuff of the night. Ryback just destroying people at the end. That was pretty good, especially him throwing the ref into the Hell in the Cell. That was really brutal right there. And then going up, then something we haven't seen in a long time is the wrestlers going up at the top of the Hell in the Cell. That was probably some of the best stuff we saw tonight was that, and that's really not much. You saw a few matches on this pay-per-view that were at least good matches, but those matches that were good were nothing that was, I would say, you need to see, or they were great matches. They were just fairly good matches, and most of those matches that were good were matches recently I've seen on television that delivered the same exact quality. So you didn't really get anything special with those matches in the first place right there, and in that case right there. So let me just get into my review. Now, you did have a pre-show on this pay-per-view. This is one time they actually didn't have a pre-show pay-per-view match. The only thing they did on the pre-show, which they already said they were going to do, was have Cena come out here, talk, do an in-ring segment, Michael Cole, and this was pretty much a Q&A segment. That's what I just got to say about it, and it did not lead to anything. I thought they were, with the Dolph Ziggler coming out there and basically ending that segment, and stuff with Cena and Dolph Ziggler was good, and I wouldn't mind seeing a program with John Cena and Dolph Ziggler, but I was thinking, hey, maybe they did that on the pre-show. Maybe we'll see that match on the pay-per-view, since neither one of them two are in a match, and Cena is, in the storyline acting like, I can compete and stuff. So I was thinking we were going to see that. Unfortunately, we didn't get that match, but maybe that's best for WWE. If Cena's, still healing up, he didn't really have to go out there and have a match on this pay-per-view if it didn't need to take place. And, with Dolph Ziggler, they can keep on doing the stuff with him, teasing he's going to cash in the Money in the Bank. Then the pay-per-view started. The first match of the pay-per-view, actually a really good match to start the pay-per-view. It was Alberto Del Rio versus Randy Orton. Really good match, good back-and-forth action. Most of this match, Alberto Del Rio was working over Randy Orton's left arm. Some really good stuff there. Orton did some good stuff. And the ending of this match was probably one of the best things of the night. Alberto Del Rio was going for an enziguri, that springboard enziguri that he goes for, and Randy Orton hit the RKO while he was doing that. Just great thing, great spot at the end of the match for Randy Orton to pick up the victory. Good match to start the show. Crowd was into it. 3 1/4 stars, probably 3 1/4 stars. Then the next matchup was for the tag team titles. This was Team Hell No. This was Team Hell No of Daniel Bryan and Kane versus Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow. I actually like the pairing of Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow. I think they can do really good stuff. And the stuff with Daniel Bryan and Kane, I think everyone just loves the stuff they do. Sometimes it goes overboard with the comedy, but most of the times it's good. And this match, more or less, with this tag team match, it was okay. It wasn't anything special. The person that made this match probably the most entertaining was Daniel Bryan, like he tends to do most of the time. Daniel Bryan did some really good stuff in here. Kane as well. And Damian Sandow and Cody Rhodes just seemed like they had an off night. They did okay in the match, but nothing too much from out. They seemed like they weren't really. They seemed like they were just kind of going through the motions in this match. I would expect a little more from them, but an okay tag team match. The match ends via disqualification when Kane just keeps on beating down Damian Sandow and Cody Rhodes in the corner, and the ref stops the match. So Rhodes and Sandow win this match via disqualification, but obviously the tag team titles are still on Daniel Bryan and Kane. Then the next matchup was for the IC title. This was Kofi Kingston versus The Miz. This was probably one of the better matches of the night. Really like the feud with Kofi Kingston and The Miz. I hope they continue it. This is a really good feud you can do with the the mid for the mid card for two mid card talents, and something you can do to really elevate the IC title. I'm glad they do got the title on Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston's one of those stars I think they can really do a lot with. So I'm hoping this IC title reign. Maybe I don't know if I don't think he's probably main event worthy, but him with the IC title, he can be at least a very solid, mid card wrestler and possibly maybe contending for a main event spot in the future. But we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But the feud with these two are pretty good. You saw, basically the match you've seen with them on the main event show, so it wasn't anything like a different type match. Basically the same type of match. Kofi Kingston picks up the win in this match after hitting the Trouble in Paradise. Really good ending, though. I did like the ending. The Miz was going for the skull-crushing finale. Kofi Kingston got out of it, basically threw him through the ropes, out to the ring. Then The Miz got back in the ring, then got hit with the Trouble in Paradise. So Kofi Kingston retains the IC title. About 2 and 3 and 4 star match. Fairly decent match. Then the next matchup. Now this was a match that actually was probably one of the better matches of the night. Just like the IC title, the two, mid-card titles, the IC title and the US title probably were two of the best matches of the night, which, for a pay-per-view, it's good saying, those mid-card titles are delivered in fairly good matches, but, for a pay-per-view, most people are not expecting those title matches really do much of anything, but this next match was really good. We've seen it on Raw just recently, but I'm glad they added it to the pay-per-view since they did need to add stuff to kill off some time. So this was a good thing to do right here with the U.S. title. Antonio Cesaro versus Justin Gabriel. Wasn't really a long match, but the time they were given, they did some really good stuff. Justin Gabriel is a very talented performer. I like him a lot. I'm a huge fan of Justin Gabriel, and obviously Antonio Cesaro. I've been a huge fan of him for many years back when he was in the independent scene as Claudio Castagnoli. So I'm glad, both these guys are being used, and Justin Gabriel seems like he's starting to be used a little more than what he has been in the past. So hopefully they continue with that. Just some really good stuff, great high-flying stuff with Justin Gabriel here. Antonio Cesaro, there was one spot that was really brutal. There was Justin Gabriel. He was diving out to the floor, and Antonio Cesaro hit him with the uppercut. That was really brutal. You saw Justin Gabriel go for the 450. He missed it. Then the end of the match comes when Antonio Cesaro hits his finisher, the neutralizer, in a really good match. About three stars. Good match. Not great, but good match nonetheless. Then the next matchup was Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara versus the Primetime players of Titus O'Neil and Darren Young. Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara are a really good team. I'm glad they're doing this pairing. And the other thing that's beneficial of this pairing with Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara is right now, Rey Mysterio is pretty banged up, so it's a good thing to put him in a tag team so he doesn't really have to compete in singles matches too much, and he can take time out of the match, so that's a good thing to do with him. And the thing that's most beneficial of this, and I think everyone has said this, is ever since these two have been teaming, Sin Cara has not been botching much. He's been improving in the ring. He was very talented in Mexico, but he's still getting used to the WWE style, and he doesn't speak English, so that's one thing that really holds him back is, since I'm pretty sure not that many wrestlers in WWE are bilingual. Most wrestlers in WWE just probably speak English, and they can't really, tell him what to do in the match, or he can't understand them, so that right there is probably holding him back a little. And not that many people can really work his style either. That's one of the really things that hurts him in WWE. This pairing's really improving him. He's starting to do some really good stuff. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the Primetime players. Rey Mysterio picks up the win in this match after dropping the dime onto Darren Young in this match. Okay match, 2 stars at best. Decent, okay match. Watchable at best. Then the next matchup was Sheamus versus Big Show for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was the match that I was probably least looking forward to the whole entire night. And basically, was the match I expected to be. It was very boring. I just could not get into it. I gotta say one thing. It did start picking up in the last few minutes when they started doing all the near falls, and they really did do some good stuff at the end. I mean, especially the one thing that I'm not. A lot of people in WWE can pick up Big Show, but I did not expect, Sheamus to be able to pick him up in white noise and actually hit it perfectly. He picked him up right there. Then they did a lot of, false finishes, and then Big Show finally wins the match after Sheamus was going for the second brogue kick to Big Show, and Big Show hit him with the KO punch, and Big Show wins the World Heavyweight title. So Sheamus's title reign is over right now, and Big Show is the new champion. And they obviously, up until before this pay-per-view and even during the match, they were showing that, Dolph Ziggler is backstage watching this match and teasing that he was going to cash it in. I was hoping it was going to happen, but it did not happen. I'm thinking what they'll probably do with as far as him cashing in. I don't think we'll see him cashing in at Survivor Series. I'm thinking most likely we'll probably see him cashing in at TLC, or if they don't do it at a pay-per-view, maybe they'll want to do it on some SmackDown just to maybe, boost some ratings, or do it on Raw. Just, have a title change on there. I don't know when they'll do it, but I'm expecting most likely they'll probably wait till TLC for him to probably cash in, or maybe they'll just have him keep it even longer, closer to Mania, and he cashes it in around Mania time. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. As far as the match with Sheamus and Big Show, couldn't get into it. The last few minutes actually were good, but the match was so slow-paced and boring. It wasn't one of those matches that was just slow and methodical for a good reason. It was just slow, boring, just could not get into it. I'm obviously going to rate the match, at best I'm going to give it probably 2, maybe 2 and 1/4 star match. Just match I really couldn't get into. I know some people might have enjoyed it more than I did, but I just could not get into it. Last few minutes were good. I do got to admit, the last few minutes were fairly good, even though they did kind of get overboard with the false finishes. Then the next matchup was Eve versus Layla versus Kaitlyn for the Divas title. Just a typical Divas match, nothing special. Eve retains. That's all I really have to say about this match. 1 star at best. Very sloppy match. Nothing good at all. Just your typical Divas match in WWE. Then the next matchup was the main event of the evening. This was for the WWE Championship in the Hell in a Cell match. Ryback versus CM Punk. Going into this pay-per-view, I did not know how this match was going to be. It actually turned out to be a little better than what I was expecting it to be. Even with the ending of the match, and I'll get into that. Even with the ending of the match wasn't too bad. Not a match I would say quality match-wise as far as the quality. It wasn't, something that was worthy of being the main event, and it wasn't a great match. But for Ryback, since he doesn't do really too much, him and CM Punk did do some good stuff in here for the time they were given. The match didn't go on extremely long, but they did some good stuff. CM Punk pretty much got in his stuff, and Ryback, pretty much destroying Punk during a lot of the match, using his, his strength against CM Punk, and CM Punk using his quickness. So that's the way this match was booked. Ryback utilized the cage. CM Punk really didn't do too much with the cage against Ryback. They didn't really utilize the cage a lot. Ryback did a few things. Wasn't a bad match. Wasn't a great match. I would just say it was an okay match with them. And the way the match ends, which didn't expect this ending, because I think everyone was expecting someone to come out here and get involved, maybe Big Show or Brock Lesnar to get involved in this match, break into the cell and help CM Punk retain the title that way. I don't think anyone expected the way the match ended, and the way the match ended was Ryback, he just he was about to hit his finisher, the shell shock onto CM Punk. Then right when he was about to hit it, the ref low blowed him, and then CM Punk rolled him up, and CM Punk retained the title that way. So I actually don't mind the way the match ended, because it was a way that CM Punk could win this match in a very cheap fashion. And obviously WWE wants to keep Ryback very strong, and this was Ryback's first defeat, so his undefeated streak is ended right now, and they wanted to probably end the undefeated streak in this fashion anyway, so he wouldn't look too weak, and they can continue pushing him. So because obviously WWE is very very high on Ryback at the moment, so obviously they're going to continue pushing him, and this does not hurt him. It doesn't hurt CM Punk. CM Punk, obviously is booked as the coward heel. I know some people might not like, that he's being booked as the coward heel, but he does a good job at it. And the stuff post-match here was really good. After this, Ryback, was pissed off. He picked up the ref, slammed him into the cage from the ring to the Hell in a Cell cage. That was very brutal. And especially, someone that's referee taking that bump, that was very brutal. Or anyone taking that bump is just very brutal right there. Then CM Punk was trying to get out. CM Punk was trying to get out of the cage. This was before the ref got slammed in there. They were trying to get out of the cage. It was taking a while to get the padlock off. And then obviously Ryback did that to the referee. Then CM Punk, he was crawling out. The door was open. And Paul Heyman, just classic seeing him run up the ramp, getting away from there. Then Ryback, got CM Punk, and they actually went to the top of the cage, something we haven't seen in a long time in a Hell in a Cell match, either during a Hell in a Cell match, post or before the Hell in a Cell match. We haven't seen wrestlers go at the top, especially this Hell in a Cell that's humongous. So they did that. They went up there, and Ryback hit his finisher onto CM Punk, the Shell Shock onto CM Punk at the top of the cage, and the pay-per-view ends with Ryback celebrating after that, after he slammed him there. So obviously this Ryback and CM Punk feud is going to be continuing. I don't know if we'll see another title match between the two at Survivor Series, or will we see something like Team Ryback versus Team CM Punk, or Team Cena, or Team Cena versus Team Punk with Ryback being on Team Cena. We'll just have to wait and see what they do right there. But as far as the match, it was an okay match. Nothing spectacular, but probably a little better than I was expecting, because I did not know how Ryback and Punk was going to be. I thought it might have not been good, but Punk made him look as good as what he did, and Ryback did not, do too bad in the match, I got to say, even though I'm not a huge fan of him. I would say about, 2.5 stars to be maybe 2 3/4 stars. That might be being a little generous. Okay main event. The booking, I didn't mind the ending, because it was kind of like something we don't see too often, is an old school style type of way they booked the match as far as the ending. So I did not mind that with the whole crooked ref, and I'm sure they'll probably be able to do some good stuff with this with storyline wise. But as far as the show, this is a show I would say stay clear of. You're not missing anything if you do not see this show. Like I said, the few matches that were good on here, you've probably seen just recently on television. Obviously, you just recently saw the 2 matches I thought that were probably the best 2 matches on the pay-per-view we just recently seen on television, the U.S. title match and the match that was for the IC title. So both of them matches we recently just saw on television, and probably the same quality. So you're not really missing much. You're not missing anything if you miss out on this pay-per-view. So I definitely say stay clear of it. As far as an overall rate, and I probably give this pay-per-view a 5.5, maybe a 5.75 out of 10. That's the best I can do with this pay-per-view. Just not a good pay-per-view. I would say stay clear of, and that's it for my WWE Hell in a Cell 2012 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.